Welcome to my channel, Black Box Legends. The sky was calm, 30,000 feet above the world. The airliner floated steady, the engines humming a low lullaby across the cabin. Conversations were soft, screens glowing, coffee steaming. Nothing unusual, nothing to suggest history was about to bend. Then, static cracked across the intercom. A voice trembled, ragged, uncertain. "Ladies and gentlemen," a pause, the kind that sends a chill before the words arrive. "Are there any combat pilots on board?" Gasps spread like a shockwave. Heads turned, eyes widened. A question like that wasn't supposed to exist at cruising altitude. The silence was deafening. And in row 14, a woman's eyes lifted from the page of her book. Calm, steady. She raised her hand, quietly, deliberately. The moment froze, the ordinary revealing the extraordinary. Cut to black. Title drops. Minutes earlier, nothing hinted at disaster. Flight attendants moved gracefully through the aisles, pouring drinks, exchanging smiles. Children pressed noses to windows, chasing shapes in the clouds. Business travelers typed furiously, glowing screens lighting tired faces. And in row 14, she sat alone, almost invisible, her posture relaxed, a novel resting in her lap. The rhythm broke with a cough, sharp, sudden, then silence. The captain's voice faltered mid-sentence over the intercom. The line cut. Attendants rushed forward. The co-pilot's shout bled from the cockpit. Turbulence rattled the fuselage. Drinks spilled. Conversations died. Dread replaced comfort. The reality unfolded like a nightmare. The captain was down. The co-pilot fought alone, his voice over the intercom cracking under pressure. "If anyone here, if anyone has flight experience, please help." The storm outside was growing teeth. The aircraft pitched. Oxygen masks trembled above passengers' heads. 200 souls trapped in a steel shell, and no one to save them. No one, or so it seemed. The silence stretched. Fear took root in the aisles. Mothers clutched children. Strangers whispered prayers. Faces scanned the cabin, desperate for someone, anyone to move. Then, row 14, she stood, not with a shout, not with drama, but with something heavier. She raised her hand. Gasps, disbelief. She wasn't dressed like a pilot. She wasn't dressed like anything but ordinary. But the flight attendants locked on her, hope sparking where despair had lived seconds earlier. She walked down the aisle, steps steady, like a soldier walking back into fire. The cockpit was chaos. Alarms wailed. Red lights flashed. The storm outside clawed at the fuselage, tossing the jet like a toy. The co-pilot's hands shook on the controls. She slid into the captain's seat without hesitation, her movements sharp, precise. Fingers brushed switches, correcting trim, stabilizing pitch. Her voice cut through the storm. Calm, firm, commanding. "Level to 270. Pull the thrust back a hair. Trust me." The jet steadied, just enough for breath to return to the cabin. The contrast was cinematic. Outside, lightning splitting the sky. Inside, her steady hands commanding steel and storm alike. The co-pilot finally turned, studying her. Who are you?" For a beat, she didn't answer. The hum of engines filled the silence. Then, softly, almost reluctant, "Call sign, Valkyrie." Recognition flickered across his face. He had heard it before, whispered like myth in Air Force hangars, traded in hushed stories of impossible missions. Valkyrie wasn't just a pilot. She was a legend. The cabin didn't know, but we did. Her grip on the controls stirred ghosts. Memories bled into the storm. Night skies lit with tracer fire. The roar of an F-22 screaming across hostile airspace. Radar locks, missile trails, near-death escapes. Her visor down, her jet cutting the dark like a blade. The call sign Valkyrie painted across comms. Her voice steady while others broke. She carried scars no passenger would ever see. Missions that carved her into silence. Victories that cost more than applause could ever repay. And now, fate had dragged her from anonymity back into fire. The storm hit harder. Thunder rolled like artillery. The aircraft lurched, wings flexing. Gasps filled the cabin. But in the cockpit, her voice never wavered. "Stay with me," told the co-pilot. "Gear down. Flaps to 30. Through sheets of rain, runway lights pierced the dark like salvation. The gear groaned. The storm clawed. But her touch was surgical, combat honed. The jet descended, shuddering under the weight of gravity and chaos. Then, impact. Wheels screamed against tarmac. The fuselage rattled. A heartbeat of silence. Then the impossible. They were down. They were alive. Thunder outside. outside, applause inside, a storm breaking into relief. She didn't celebrate, didn't smile. She stood from the captain's chair, gave the co-pilot a single nod, and walked back through the aisle. Passengers reached to touch her arm, to thank her. She only lowered her gaze and returned to row 14, as if nothing had happened. The whispers grew. Who was she? Did you see that? She saved us all. But she didn't answer. Legends rarely do. Sometimes heroes don't wear uniforms anymore. Sometimes they sit among us, silent, unreadable, carrying stories no one dares to ask, until the moment the world calls their name again. And when it does, they rise, quietly, like Valkyrie. Because legends never fade, they wait. If you believe heroes walk among us, share their story. And for more untold cinematic legends, subscribe.